Okay, guys, so I should be live, and hopefully this week the sound is much better. So I'm just gonna wait a little while for people to join, and as you join, just let me know if the sound is good, and then we can get started. So for anyone joining, hi, welcome. My name is Becky, and we are doing a live Q&A for anyone who has questions about eBay dropshipping. And last week we did one, but the sound was a little bit off. So I'm hoping I've fixed that now. It was something to do with my laptop. So we'll see if it's fixed. Okay, I'll just check the chat. Sounds getting better. Sounds all good? Great. I will speak slower just in case the sound does go off a little bit, but hopefully it's all good. So I'll see who's here. Rezwan, hi, welcome. Sorry if I'm butchering names. Mianja, welcome. Stack and Profits, hello. So for anyone who doesn't know, Stack and Profit just started a eBay UK dropshipping YouTube channel also, so check him out. Hi Renard, Johnny, welcome, also from the UK. Carolina, okay, so everyone's saying the sound is good. Oh, somebody said they can't hear anything. Oh no, it's a bit crackly. Okay, so hopefully the sound will be okay. I'll just carry on and speak slowly, so hopefully you can all hear me. Okay, so first question I got, can you recommend 2 title builders? So the first one would be title-builder.com, and the second one I would recommend is Your Own Imagination. Those are the only 2 title builders or keyword helpers that I have personally used. So they're the only 2 that I can really recommend. And they've both worked really well for me. Nowadays, I don't use a builder tool. I just come up with my own titles. So yeah. There's another one called Merchant Words, I think. I've never used it, but other people have used it and they like it. So there's that. Somebody said, can I start drop shipping with 2 accounts? So if you're saying that because your account limits are low, you want 2 accounts so you can list more items, it's doable, but it's actually against eBay policy to do that. They don't want you to open up multiple accounts to get around the limits because it goes against what they're trying to do, which is limit you. So it's doable, but I wouldn't recommend it, and it's against their policy. So if they did find out somehow, potentially you could lose your accounts. But long term, if you just want to drop ship with 2 different accounts, you can do that. Just if you wanted to have maybe a broad store and then a niche store, you could have 2 separate accounts, one for different markets, like one for the UK, one for the US if you wanted. But to start off with, I'd focus on building up 1 account first. That's my recommendation. Claudia says hi. Hi, Claudia. Sorry if I missed your question because the chat skips up quite a lot. Does the order you place keywords in a title affect the ranking or sales? So I don't know whether it would affect the ranking. Nobody really does because eBay doesn't release that information. However, what I would say is make sure that you, rather than just ramming in keywords, try to have the first part of the title say what the item is, because sometimes people will do a listing for a table and they'll just start with keywords like the color, the style, the size, and like the last word of the listing will be table. And buyers are kind of lazy, so you want to put the what it is in the beginning. So you could put like retro table, black metal, blah blah blah, all the rest of it, so that it ranks for those keywords. But try to have the name of the actual item in the beginning as much as possible. So Travis said, try eBay search engine for suggested keywords. That's a good one. Somebody said, I have a problem in product research. Is there any recommendation for me, please? That's a very broad question. What do you mean? You could go on eBay and find out what other dropshippers are selling, and use that as research. Like, research is such a broad term. I don't do product research. I just list from the source. So I can't recommend too much for you there. But when you say you have a problem in product research, what is the problem? You can't find items that are already selling. You can't find items with margin, because that is not my strategy. I don't research products in that way. How to find items that are in demand and are not competitive, or you use common sense. So as I said, I don't look at competition and I don't look at demand when I list items. I list things that I think from experience will sell. And I don't care if other people have them listed cheaper on eBay, because I still get sales. Three of the sources that I list from, three? Argos, yes, Argos, Domu, and VXL all are three sources that I use, and they all have stores on eBay. So I sell their items on eBay for more expensive than they do. So if I was doing competitor research for those items, I wouldn't have listed them, because obviously somebody else has them cheaper, the supplier, but I still sell them. So for my strategy, keywords will get you the margin and allow you to sell for more expensive than other competition. If I drop ship, Dale says, if I drop ship with 2 accounts, will eBay restrict me for no reason? Not for no reason, but they might restrict you. It's not against their rules to have 2 separate accounts. So no, but if one of your accounts is below standard, then both of your accounts are at risk. Or if one gets shut down, they're linked. If they have the same PayPal, they'll know that they're both your accounts. But you're allowed to have multiple eBay accounts with the same PayPal. That's not against eBay's rules, so you don't have to like hide that or anything. Rezwan says, hi Becky, how was your experience with Hustle Got Real? I got the trial version, but their stock counting and reporting option caused me huge problems. There were few items that went out of stock, and there was no notification that the item were out of stock. So my experience with Hustle Got Real has been very positive so far. I started it on a second trial account because I didn't want to switch my main account over before I tested it. And now I've switched my main account over because I love it. So I'm not sure what you mean by stock counting and reporting option. Which option, what do you mean by option? And so far I haven't had any out of stocks with Hustle Got Real. That's not to say that they never have out of stocks. Before I was using them, I used SKUGrid, and I still had out of stocks. My main thing between two things in the difference between SKUGrid / HydroLister and Hustle Got Real. The link for Hustle Got Real is in the description of the video in case anyone's interested. They have a free trial. Customer service. When I had issues with SKUGrid, to get hold of somebody who could help me was impossible. Whereas with Hustle Got Real, you can speak to them and they will get back to you, which is really nice, really personal customer service. If you have any questions, you can ask and they actually know what they're talking about. Whereas with SKUGrid, sometimes it was like somebody who just works at the office who's just sending you a generic answer and doesn't actually know what the problem you're having is. So that's nice. Out of stocks will happen is part of dropshipping with or without software. So far, like I said, I haven't had any. The second thing I really like about Hustle Got Real is it has features that are really good, especially for bigger eBay businesses. So for example, I tested a repricing strategy recently, which has been really successful. So you guys let me know if you want me to go more into detail about my repricing strategy, but I used Hustle Got Real to do it so quickly. And I mean, it took me maybe 15-20 minutes to set it up, and from the day after, my sales increased. So I can get more into that. I want to get through all your questions. Selling in eBay, Meta asks, selling in eBay USA should check all in the exclusion list, or should I try to send products to other places? I don't know what you mean, sorry. in the exclusion. Oh, should I check? Oh, yes. So this is the shipping preferences. Tick all of those boxes in the exclusion list, and then at the bottom, there's another box that says override exclusion if GSP is available. Tick that box. So that's how you want to set it up. I have a video on that on my channel, but that's what you need to do. How long have you been dropshipping, and what, I think that's supposed to say, was your profit last month? So I started this is from Dale. Hi Dale. I started dropshipping in May of 2017. So I've been dropshipping for like 10 months, and my profit has been different every month. My best month obviously was December, where I did, I think it was just under £2,200 in profit. And then last month, what month are we in? So I'm assuming you mean February. January was actually pretty good, almost as good as December. February dipped down a bit, and my profit, I don't know exactly the number, I think it was about £1,800 profit, but it was definitely a quieter month. But I used it as time to like clean up my store, do the new pricing strategy that I have just told you about. And just from that, I know we're 4 days into March, but my sales have shot up. So yeah, back to more questions. Dale also asked, does Pick SEO work? Can you describe how it's done? I don't believe it does work, or if it does work, the effects of it are not, to me, worth the extra time. So I stopped optimizing my pictures. And describe how it's done. That's when you change the name of when you save the image before you upload it, you change the name of the image on your computer to have keywords in the name of the image saved title, if that makes sense. Kay Richard says, I was having regular sales. I list every day, but sales completely stopped last week. Do you know why that would happen? Sometimes, how many listings do you have, first of all? If you were having sales every day, but you have maybe 100, 200 listings or less, you could have a week where you have no sales. Depending on your strategy, if you're optimizing, you want to wait until you have over 1,000 listings before you can really expect daily sales consistently. Discretion is advised said, when should I consider an accountant? I have been making a little over 600 for the last 2 months. I have no accounting knowledge. So I was going to say, it depends on how much accounting knowledge you have. If you have no accounting knowledge, then you need to consider an accountant straight away. At the very least, so hang on, what did you say? How long have you been doing it? 2 months. So that's this financial year, which ends in April, and you need to file your taxes for that next year, January. So keep a record of everything, and I'd say before October, basically, find an accountant and just make sure that you have all the details you need to file your taxes for this financial year next year when you have to. Do you use a template? Would you recommend for newbies so you don't suffer from a bad description? So actually, I was thinking about this the other day because I've seen it a few times. If you're new and you're not using a software, you're just listing manually, I honestly wouldn't waste time on a template. I don't think it makes any difference. So I still have listings that I created before I had software. I have quite a few that don't have a template, and I still get sales from them. And all I did was copy and paste the description from the source to the description box in eBay. And because of the way people look at your eBay listing, a lot of people look at it on their phone. It looks like a template anyway because of the way eBay's set up. As long as the information is there and it's clear, I wouldn't worry about a template, especially not for a beginner. Hi, Craig from the UK. Is writing over the description effective in sales? I don't believe it is. Some others would argue that it is. To me, the whole thing is time versus how much more effective it is. If you can list 100 items in a day without changing the description, or list 20 items in a day with changing the description, I personally believe that it's better to list more and not change the description. Title is the biggest thing. You want to definitely focus on quality titles. Somebody said, what suppliers would you recommend that are dropshipping friendly? Are you in the UK? Are you in the US? All the ones that I use, I wouldn't say they're dropshipping friendly, but they haven't banned me or anything like that. In the US, I use Kmart. They don't seem to care. I don't call them up and tell them I'm dropshipping, but it's money in their pockets. Dale said, what is eBay Vero? So the Vero list, VERO, is a list of brands that basically you can't list on eBay. So it's different for each market. So if you're in the US versus the UK, the list will be different. You need to check that you're not listing those items. If you do, you'll usually just get a warning from eBay saying, don't list this brand again. But if you continue to list that brand and get Vero violations, you could lose your account. But just be careful about not listing those brands. You can Google like eBay Vero list UK to find the list. It's not hidden. Carolina says, I'm using the sniper method. I have pretty high limits. Should I start another account to do the optimization method? No, you can do both methods on the same account. There's really no actually, I'll rephrase what I was going to say. The risk you have is that because you're sniping, the people who see that you're sniping them might then come to your account and snipe your optimized listings. So that being said, perhaps use 2 separate accounts if you want to keep people off of your optimized listings. But if this account has high limits, then use the higher limit account for your optimization and the smaller limit account for your sniping, because you need less listings for the sniper method. Travis said, do you ever list so much that your arm hurts? Definitely happens to me. Any tips for working longer or better? Yes, I have listed, not my arm, but like I use keyboard shortcuts. So like I get my fingers start to hurt from the shortcuts that I use. I like to take breaks in between listings. So maybe I'll list for up to 2 hours, stop, take a 15-minute break, get a drink, and then come back and do it again, just because your mind isn't fresh. So, you know, you want to be optimal listing brain. So I like to take short breaks, but this is what it takes. If your arm's hurting, that's good. Nav says, what is your thought process when titling? My thought process is, what words would people type in to find this item on eBay? And then that is what I type into the title. Dale said, if you change your descriptions, titles, and picture names, how do you find the item when it gets an order? So a few things. First of all, if you're using first of all, I don't change the description. So that's that. Secondly, if you're using a software to track the stock, you can put the eBay item ID of the item into your software, and it will tell you the link that it's using to track it from. And lastly, what I would recommend you do anyway is type the name of the item into Google, the generic name of it, or the name as close as you can get to see, because somebody else might be selling it cheaper. So you may have initially listed this item from Tesco, but then the day somebody buys it, you could search and find that actually Argos is selling it cheaper, and you could fulfill the order from there and make more profit, which is what I do on a very regular basis. So I always search to see if something's going to be cheaper elsewhere. Johnny said, when you optimize your listing, do you take time to check if the listing is on the first page? No, I'm not. I move on and list the next item. That's a waste of time, in my opinion, because you're saying on the first page, but on the first page for what keywords? So if you typed in, I'm just looking around the room, I've got a grey sofa here. So if I typed in and I optimized it and I put soft grey sofa, living room furniture, somebody might search for a soft sofa. So the ranking is going to show something. And then somebody else might search in grey living room furniture, and the ranking is going to be different. So there's no way to know what page you're on. It depends on what the person typed in, if that makes sense. So checking is a waste of time. It might not be on the first page for this keyword, but it might be for that keyword. Mita says, do you analyze niches or sales at all? No, not in great detail. So if I see an area not a niche, but a particular area that's selling well for me. Could be seasonality. So if I sell a lot of garden furniture this week, I'll know, okay, garden furniture is hot right now. Let me list a little bit more, but nothing deeper than that, really. Razwan says he uses Web Seller Guru. I've never used it. It has an option to automatically make the product quantity 0 when a supplier's product goes out of stock. Yes, Hustle Got Real does that too. It doesn't notify you. It just takes it out of stock on your eBay account. That's the purpose of it. It does do that. If yours isn't doing that, contact them and ask why, because it should be. So you can hear me now. Ishmael, is it Ishmael or Ismail? You can hear me now. Great. How do you find profitable items without sniping like your strategy? The term profitable item it has nothing to do with my strategy. The item is not profitable. I find the item and then I add the profit to it. So yeah, I find an item and I add 40%. Then when it sells, it is a profitable item, if that makes sense. So Duke said, will you start Amazon FBA? And if so, could you make a course or a series of videos for the UK? Because there are very few Amazon FBA marketers in the UK. So I do actually have plans to do Amazon FBA. And I know already what products that I want to do. But I have another project that I want to do before I do the FBA. And before that, I want to focus on my eBay store. So would I do a course? I don't know. It would depend on how it goes, if I'm successful at it. I don't imagine it would be massively different from the UK to anywhere else. I'd definitely make YouTube videos about my experience, but of course, I wouldn't say yes or no yet. I don't plan to, but never say never. Daniel, hi Daniel. He said, I've already asked you this before. I guess my answer wasn't clear. But when it comes to becoming VAT registered, do you agree that it is almost impossible to use Mark's sniping strategy in the UK? Not impossible, no. You would just have much lower margins and you would need to have a much bigger amount of products, because the thing is, with Mark's strategy, generally you're going to get 10% profit margin, whereas with my strategy, I'm currently getting 20%. So if becoming VAT registered takes away about 3% of your margin, where I'm going to go down to about 17%, if you've got 10%, you're going to go down to 7%. So you still can make money, but you're going to have to sell a lot more volume, which is possible with Mark's strategy because you're selling hot items. Yeah, it's not impossible, but you need to sell a lot more to make the same amount of money. It's the same with that strategy anyway. Back in Profit said, would love to see a video on your repricing strategy. Cool, I will definitely make one. I'm going to show how I set it up in Hustle Got Real because it was so easy. It's a feature that SKU Grid Hydrolister does not have, and it's something I really wanted. So I'll show you guys how that works. I'll just explain now. I'm going to do a lot of detailed videos on Hustle Got Real. They're all coming because I know, yes, I have an affiliate link in the description, but honestly, even if you guys just go and sign up outside of that, it is the best, like, especially for the UK. Because a lot of these other ones, like DSM Tool, they've really put the UK on the back burner. Like, clearly their focus was nothing to do with the UK, which is fine. But Hustle Got Real, all sources that I would want to use, and they will add a source. So if you message them and say, my main source is such and such, and I have 1,000 items in my store that are from this source, they'll add it for you, and they'll do it really quickly. They've done it for me. So James, hi, would like to hear more about the pricing strategy, as would Craig. So I mentioned this in another video, but what I'm doing is, so my new pricing strategy, I'm still having my markup set at 40% as a normal markup. So price plus cost plus shipping at 40% is my selling price. However, now that my store's growing, there are a lot of items, over 1,000 items on my store, listed in my store that had never sold, that were quite old listings. So what I did quite easily in Hustle Got Real is you can filter to see a list of products that meet certain criteria. So I'll do a video, but what I did is I filtered it to say, show me any item that has never sold before, and where the current profit on the item would be over £10. So it's quite a high value item. What else did I ask it to show me? That is older than a certain date. So for me, I put anything that was listed January or back. So an old listing with no sales, with a decent margin in terms of profit. Show me all of those listings. Then I just selected them. You can select all, and I changed the markup from 40% down, I was going to do 25% because that's my break even, but I added a little bit more just to be safe. So I put them all down to 27%. So I'm still making a profit, and I just hit go, and it did it for all of those items. And I think it was about between 500 and 600 items, 560 odd items that met that criteria. And honestly, the next day, over half of my sales came from those items that had never sold before. And then the days that followed, same again. So yes, my margin on them is lower percentage wise, and it's not a long-term strategy because of things like VAT, but just to get that boost, that sales history behind those items, or just to boost your profit for a few days if you're having a quiet week. Love it, absolutely love it. And it took me 20 minutes to set it up. Amazing. Moses says, are you having some problems with Hustle Got Real missing descriptions? I haven't noticed any yet, no. If you're having any issues with Hustle Got Real, honestly message them because they're really good. Johnny said, do you list branded items? I don't mean Macs, iPhones. I mean general branded items like Nescafe. Yes, yes, I do. So Mita says, being in Portugal, do you think it would be easier to sell in the UK, and even would be manageable to send products directly from here to the UK? I don't think that would be easy at all. If there's an eBay Portugal, use that. If not, then honestly, I would suggest that you sell in the US if that is at all an option for you. And that, when I say sell in the US, I mean from a US supplier to a US customer. That I do that, and it's so easy, so easy. Thailand Heron said, because you're selling in the US, does that affect your reaching the VAT threshold, or is it only your UK sales? It's only your UK sales. So just to be clear, that doesn't mean I don't pay income tax on my US profit. Of course, I do that separate. But in terms of reaching the UK seller VAT threshold, which is 85K, your US sales, as long as the product is from the US and sold in the US, doesn't attribute to that threshold. So no, it doesn't. That's correct. Johnny said, are you planning to make a group meetup in London or anywhere in the UK one day? I was just talking to Jack Pittman about this earlier today because he's doing a meetup, and I'm a bit nervous just because I get so many like creepy, weird, stalkery messages from guys. But if it was in a big public place, like nowhere near my home, and I'll bring people I know, then I would do a meetup. And I'm planning to be in London for the summer right now with the weather you guys are having. So yeah, possibly. If you guys would come, let me know. Do you charge sales tax for the US? No, I don't. Can somebody say, Sonask She, sorry, I'm probably ruined your name. Hey, can you drop ship from Qatar to eBay USA, even though I am not a citizen of Qatar? I work in Qatar. Where are you a citizen of? I mean, I don't know. Where are you a citizen of? That would be helpful to know. But your location is irrelevant. So I'm a UK dropshipper, but I'm in Colombia. And before this, I was in Nicaragua. And when I started, I was in Thailand, but I'm still a UK dropshipper as far as eBay is concerned, because my account is UK, my PayPal is UK, my banking is UK, my address is UK, all of that good stuff. Dale said, any advice with asking for more listings? So every time so recently when I've had to call eBay, okay, so I'm saying this all muddled up. When I started, I would always get an automatic increase, so I never really had to speak to someone. Then when I didn't get an automatic and I called, it was like not a robot voice, but like what are they called? Like it wasn't a real person, it was a recorded automated message saying, hi, your limit is blah, blah, blah. You can now list whatever, and it just upped it for me. So there's that. Try calling them and see if that happens. I think that's a UK thing. But if you do need to ask, just say you want to continue selling more of the same stuff. Yeah, you can say any of that. If you don't want to say that you're drop shipping, you can say it, but I know some people are really like shifty about saying it, specifically for a new account where they might not trust you. You can say you buy stuff and then you list it. You buy stuff from retail stores and then you're reselling that. If you really don't want to say that you're a drop shipper for whatever reason. Andrea said, with 1,000 to 1,500 listings, can I expect around 1,000 profit, in your opinion, with optimization? Yes. I hate to say like this amount of listings gets this much money, but it should be around, with optimization, if you're doing it right, a good benchmark would be £1 or $1 per listing. So if you have about 1,000 listings you're optimizing, you should be making around £1,000 profit. Hi, Kieran. Chris said, make a video of you doing some examples of making titles. I know I keep going on, but I've watched your title videos. Okay, so what I'm going to do, after I've done this live, I'm recording my videos for the day, and I'm going to film that video for you, Chris, so it will be out within the week. I'll just pick items, and I'll just write out titles, and you guys can see my thought process. What suppliers do you recommend are dropship friendly on the UK? So dropship friendly, like none of these suppliers really are like, hey, come and dropship from us. It's just that they aren't going to ban you for ordering things to different addresses, maybe. I know that Vida Excel actually has a dropshipper program, so they're obviously dropship friendly. So Vida Excel, if you really want someone who's 100% definitely okay with dropshipping. Yes, Hustle Got Real does update the out of stock items. It's a price tracking software that's its main purpose, as well as a lister. The best way to find good selling products. I've said this before, I don't find good selling products, I create good selling products. Dale, any advice for beginners? Pick a strategy and stick to it. Max out your account limit. The amount of times people say, oh, I've listed 7 things, what should I do? List more. Like, max out your account limits, definitely. Snoptimization versus sniping versus optimization. Depends on your personal preference. Pick one. If you really don't get on with it, try another. My main strategy is just optimization because I find it to be the quickest and my brain functions better with it. But if you're optimizing and you're just finding your titles aren't good enough, you're not getting the sales, you're not getting the views, and you have a lot of listings, maybe try sniping or optimize. If you're struggling with titles, you don't know what words to put in, sniping is a good one. Or if you know what words, but you're really just like, I have no idea what to even begin to list, then you could try optimizing. It just depends on what your struggles are. Everyone's going to be different. Somebody asked if I like latex gloves. I have no, I'm indifferent to latex gloves. How do you deal with a sniper? I don't. I'm at the point now where I don't even check who's stealing my titles. I just move on. It's a waste of time. I still get sales. So yeah, I'm still growing. Do you see a peak of sales during a weekend? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes my best day in a week will be a Tuesday or a Monday. It's just not consistent enough for me to say yes or no. Someone said snipe him back. If you get sniped, I don't do that. So we should have done like the focus around this. So the new update in October. When you say October, I don't know that it is in October. Some of the updates are coming into place in June, but there's so many updates, and I'm gonna just quickly, what time are we on? Oh gosh. I'll quickly go over some stuff for the UK. So the main things for the UK that people are up in arms about is that the Anchor store is going from, the price of the Anchor store is going up by about £130. In my opinion, that shouldn't be a problem for you. And for one reason only. It's only worth subscribing to an Anchor store when you have over 5,000 listings. And in my opinion, if you have over 5,000 listings, an extra £130 should be an absorbable cost to your business. If you have over that amount of listings and £130 is going to hurt you because your profit is that low, then really relook at your strategy, because that's a lot of listings to have and not be making enough money to absorb that cost, in my opinion. So what else is there? Updates. So there was one that I really wanted to go into. So top rated seller, you're now going to have to upload tracking in order to be top rated. Not a huge deal. I know a lot of dropshippers aren't top rated anyway, so it's fine to be above standard. But it would just mean that you need to look at the sources you're using now and switch, so you're only using sources that provide tracking. And there are some out there. And the other thing is, actually, if you're not, I've said this before, and every time I say this, I get dislikes on the videos because people just don't like to hear the harsh truth. If you're not from in the UK, it is easier for you to sell in the US on ebay.com, and I will say that and I will say it again, and it's because the laws in the UK are so different around taxes, VAT that is. And now what eBay are doing is they're adding, what are they changing? I don't know if it's top rated seller, but there's something I think it's top rated. You're not going to be able to get top rated unless your registered account address is in the UK. So they're not penalizing. I wouldn't say they're penalizing you for not being from the UK, but they're definitely boosting and encouraging those from the UK, which you may disagree with, but it makes sense for a country to business-wise support their own and help people who are in that country to run their business. You know what I mean? You might disagree, but to me that makes sense for a country to say, okay, people who are actually from our country, we're going to help give them a little advantage to be doing business at home. What do you think about Infinii? I've never used it, so I don't know much about it. How important are positioning of words in the title? I'd say it's relevant, but not the be-all and end-all. Someone said, do you charge sales tax in the US? I thought I already answered this. No, I don't charge sales tax in the US, but I do pay the sales tax to the source. I'm not tax exempt, and I don't charge sales tax. Does eBay charge you each time item is relisted when set for good till cancelled? Yes, it does. So yes, it does. It will come out of your free insertions quantity, or if you've gone over that, it will charge you. Do you dropship on Amazon? No, I do not dropship on Amazon, and honestly, I don't intend to be honest. Jane said, I agree, MarketStrategy doesn't seem to work in the UK. I find dropshippers, but they all seem to be at rock bottom prices. Yeah, there are dropshippers out there with good margin, obviously, because I'm one of them. But yeah, it's harder, I guess, to find. How do I get feedback? Don't do anything, just sell. Most people will not leave you feedback, I found. So don't ask for feedback. You should automatically give the customer feedback when they purchase from you, but if they don't want to leave you feedback, leave them to it. I wouldn't ask for it. It's not hugely important to have feedback. Okay, a lot of questions. I'm going to try and move quickly so I can get through all of them. If you don't have views and sales, do you retitle? Honestly, I would. I've never had something not get any views. yeah, look at the way you're doing your titles if you're getting really low views. Any advice when outside the UK, add 2% on eBay fees, cover the 20% VAT that can't be claimed back? What? Any advice when out? So that VAT that eBay charges on their fees is not an out of UK. It's not for international sellers. We all pay that. And your margin should cover it. So yeah, if you need to add 2%, then do that. Someone said, I'm very surprised you're not using DS Genie. Is that because you know that I know Mark? Because yeah, Mark and I disagree on a lot. Not disagree like in a nasty way, but like we have very different styles and very different opinions on like what we do individually. So I don't use DS Genie just because I know Mark. I tried it, and he'd give it to me for free, so I could be using it, and I also could be making affiliate commission if I was using it and selling it to you guys. But I just don't use it, and I don't intend to. It's not my style, you know, and it's not a thing of where I'm like, oh, snipers are bad. It doesn't suit my style. Dale said, when optimizing, what do you optimize? The title from the seller or the supplier? From the supplier. So when I optimize, I don't do it very often, but I act like I never saw the eBay seller's title. I just do it the way I would have done it if I found it at the supplier. James said, great repricing tips. Thanks for sharing. No problem. Like, I honestly am going to do more videos about that because I can't believe, first of all, not that it took me so long. I didn't do it because I was trying to do it manually before, and oh my God, that was taking forever. But I'm so glad that I've found Hustle Got Real just for that. Once you're growing a big store, there are certain tools you're going to need to manage your store, like repricing and stuff like that, that SKU Grid just doesn't have. So it might work when you have a small store, but once you get to having a bigger store, 100% Hustle Got Real is better to manage things like reprice everything I have that hasn't sold down by however much percent. Easy. Daniel said, how often do you prune? So another thing about Hustle Got Real, I know I sound like I'm just selling them, but I love it. There's a setting in Hustle Got Real where you can say, if something has been out of stock for a certain amount of days consecutively, delete the listing. That is the only pruning I do. If it hasn't sold, I'll keep it up. But if it's out of stock on the supplier's website, I have mine set to 60 days. So for 60 days in a row, this thing hasn't been in stock, Hustle Got Real will automatically delete that listing. You can set that to 90 days, 30 days, whatever you want. That's the only pruning that I do. And do you not find it hard to manage your store with so many listings, going through them to see if they're being sniped? So managing the store, again, Hustle Got Real, easy for that. I never see if anything's being sniped. I don't care. If I need to change something, yeah, you have to stop micromanaging with that business model. You just have to kind of bulk it as much as possible. I don't have time to individually look at my listings and see what I can change about them. I kind of just do it as macro as possible. That's probably a stupid way to say that. Stacking Profit said, I'd love to come to a meetup. Okay, so London meetup this summer, guys. Let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna have at least 2 people here with me at this meetup, Thailand, Heron, and Stacking Profit. That'd be nice. Johnny said, do you care if your item that you're planning to list has already been listed in eBay and has already got sales with a lower price? No, I don't care. I don't even look, so I wouldn't even know if that's the case. Which suppliers do you use with your USA account? I use Kmart exclusively. I only use Kmart. The person said they just use Amazon Prime because it seems difficult to establish accounts with other suppliers. So yeah, I just use Kmart and it's fine. I haven't had any issues. Hi Lillian, nice to meet you. Welcome. You have a couple of videos on how you optimize titles. I think you meant to say I have a couple of items. Oh, you typed it again. So yeah, Stacking Profit has some title optimization videos, so check that out. Have you started using a VA yet? And what are you using the VA for? So no, I haven't started using a VA, and I'm changing what I'm going to use them for. So ultimately, I want somebody to do customer services, but I realized that I should probably start them off with listing just to check like their competency, and then slowly increase their responsibility. So I will still list, but I'll let them also list. And then once I can see that they are right for the job, I can slowly train them on customer service. I want VAs to process the orders and answer customer questions, and my thing would be to be the main lister and closing returns and cases. That would be what I would keep control of, because that could get your account shut down. Oh, did I skip a question? Hi Becky, have you tried Terapeak or Zeek Analytics? Nope, I have not. Terapeak, no, I don't really have any experience in it. I tried a trial of it and I just didn't get it, so I didn't continue. I don't like to spend any time analyzing before listing. I prefer to just do. And I think the problem a lot of newcomers have is they get stuck in analyzing, over analyzing, and as a result, they never list anything. So for me, just list and analyze later. Or, you know, if your account limit is 30 items, find 30 items and list them. Then do some research whilst those items are listed. So then when you find something, you can take down your least viewed item that you already had up and replace that with an analyzed listing. Don't just sit and analyze and never list. So that's why I don't use any of those kind of softwares. Should I buy a shop subscription, basic or premium? When should I consider it? So it depends on the number of listings you have. If you Google eBay fees illustrator, a tool should come up that will show you at what point you should go to which store subscription. But as a general guide, when you get, I think you're US. If you're US, I don't know, you'll have to check. But if you're UK, once you get to around 100 listings, you need to subscribe to a basic store. Then once you get to over, oh my God, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember, but I'm assuming you don't have any stores. If you have over 100 listings, you need to be on the basic store at least. Second said, do you know VitaXL has a dropshipping program? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier in this video. I don't use it though. I think you have to pay for it or something. I'm not sure. I found out about it after I'd already been using them for a while, and it was at a time where I'm considering, do I want to carry on using VitaXL? I had some issues with them around Christmas time, and also their shipping time is quite long, so I'm thinking, do I want to carry on using them? I don't use the dropshipping program. Let us know what the advantages of it is, if any. Can you tell about your experience with Kickstart cashback sites so far? Are they legit, cashback actually tracked and paid? So I do not have time to check if every single transaction is tracked properly, because cashback, I just see it as a bonus. If they give it to me, they give it to me. But yeah, they've started paying out. It takes them like 3 months at least to start paying you out. And when they do, they just send it to your bank account. Whereas with Top Cashback, you go in and you choose how you want to redeem it. Kickstart, you'll just see it, the money just drops into your bank account, which is nice. What price monitor and reprice you use? So I use Hustle Got Real. The link is in the description if you want to check them out. And they have a free trial for 30 items. Oh no, I've skipped. Where was I? Have you looked at GoDaddy accounting software for eBay? No, I tried to Google it and I couldn't find a UK version. Does anyone have GoDaddy accounting in the UK? Because I couldn't find it. For my accounting, I use QuickBooks. And last week, I could not remember the name of that. I use QuickBooks for my accounting software. Can you leave the link to Hustle Got Real? It's in the description of this video, George. Mita says, I'll go to the meeting. Oh yeah, cheap. So you're not in the UK. Cheap flight from Portugal, isn't it, to London? Yeah, I'd feel bad if someone flew all the way to the UK to like come meet me, but maybe we'll try and do something fun so it's not just like me sat talking. If anyone has any ideas for what you'd want to do for a meetup, something like drop shipping related that would actually help people, but like maybe like a talk or like, I don't know, I have no idea. Hustle Got Real doesn't do fulfillment. I can't think of anyone that does do fulfillment and also has a good amount of UK sources. Does anyone know of a dropshipping lister and repricer that does automatic fulfillment that has more than just Amazon for the UK? If you do, put it in the description. Oh, the sound's gone again. It's not my internet connection, it's something to do with my laptop. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. What are your thoughts about Asda as a supplier? They're not very competitive as a supplier. Asda, not a lot of people use them, but you can get issues. I think people more often get issues with Asda for people noticing the receipt. I never had it. I don't use them as much now because they weren't on the repricing software I was using. They are now on Hustle Got Real. What is that 6 goal behind you? It's just some decor in my apartment. So yeah, I didn't put it there. Okay guys, so I'm gonna wrap this up because I think the internet might be a little bit choppy anyway, but we're just up to an hour. If I didn't answer your question in this, just pop them in the comment section of this video, and of course I will answer them. I answer all of my YouTube comments questions. It's much easier to YouTube comment question me than Facebook because my Facebook is insane at the moment. So yeah, thanks for coming. We'll do another live Q&A next Sunday at 7 p.m. UK time. I'm probably going to have them have a theme. So I'll pick a theme throughout the week so we can focus our questions on one area rather than it being so like scattered. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Daily videos throughout the week. And thanks for coming. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you want to be notified when I do go live. If anyone's a beginner and wants a UK eBay dropshipping course, there is a link in the description to that. And all the other useful information is also in the description. So I will see you guys same time next week, and have a good week until then. Bye.